to the STB, aka Secure the Bag Podcast. In this podcast, if you're new here, welcome. We talk about everything strip club, nightlife, entertainment industry, anything you want to know, anything you haven't heard, you're going to hear it here. Because I was a dancer for 4 years, didn't tell a single soul, two souls, my ex-boyfriend and one of my good friends. And they knew that I was a stripper, but my parents didn't know. My closest friend since 3rd grade didn't know. Anyone that I knew had no idea. And no one that I ever knew found out, which is fucking awesome, which I loved. I did it for literally 4 years, like a whole ass degree. And I know that there's people that have done it longer, but I would say 4 years was like the perfect amount to not only learn a shit ton, put myself in a better position, and then make great connections. That was, for me, like the sweet spot. And I probably could have done it for like one more, but I just knew, like, me personally, my personality and the way that I operate, my time was up. And I'm grateful for it, and I'm excited to share with you guys because of the fact that I never told anyone. I would reflect through Google Docs. I would reflect through blogs or, just going home that night and talking about how everything went and what happened, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great. Doesn't matter. $0 night, $10,000 night, you're going to hear about it. And I didn't hold back because I didn't know whether or not I would ever share these blogs. But I'm grateful I am because it's nice to reminisce, and it's also cool. Like, you guys get to hear this shit. Anyways, so we're kind of going into like biases, and if there are any biases in the club, and just for future, like for reference, you guys can pitch in and you can tell me your opinions and like whatever the fuck you want to do, but you can argue with me, that's fine. But I'm going based off of my experience and what I saw because I did this shit. And if we're talking about like the number one bias, like people that would not approach these individuals in the club, and it's fucked up, but strippers, depends on where you strip, right? But I've stripped in Texas, Vegas, New York, and really high-end clubs. And of course, all like girls have more biases, or maybe like may approach you if you have like a suit on, or if you're dressed really nicely. Like a lot of the people in like New York, they dress like in suits like after work, and they bring in like their buddies or whatever. Or like in Vegas, bachelor parties, they'll come in with suits on and dress really nice because it's dress code in clubs. But black guys. And I'm not talking about like pimps or like, guys that like that don't look like approachable. I'm talking about like just regular black guys. Like girls would not approach them. Like the only girls that would approach them, like I think I would approach them. I don't mind. I'll talk to whoever the fuck, I don't care. But like a lot of like white girls or Latinas or whatever, they would maybe go up and say like one thing, and then if they didn't get a dance right away, like they're never going back. Opposed to like a white man, they'll sit down and they'll talk to them, they'll have a conversation, they'll try to get to know them. And that's just how it was. Now, a lot of the girls that would like stick with a group of black guys and like talk to them were black girls. And that was more so just because like that's what you would see quite often. And it's fucked up. It's fucking fucked up, bro. It's fucked up. But my thing is, I'm more so like my type is like a black man. Like that's what I go for. And that's like just how I've always been. And I rarely would go up to them in the club, more so because like I don't like to go up to what I like. Like if I like a certain type of like person or a certain type of look, whether they're older or not, like I just felt like I might be talking to my future father-in-law or some shit. Like, maybe that's why. But shit. But hold on, I'm not done here. NFL players, girls are going to be jumping on them. Boxers, girls are going to be jumping on them. Rappers, girls are going to be jumping on them. But I'm talking about like an average black man, girls are not jumping on them. And even you could have like a regular like clean cut, not in a suit, but like regular clothes black man. And then you can have a white man, like mid 40s with a gut that looks homeless. They're going to go up to the white man before they go up to the black man. Most of the time. Like I said, depends on the club, depends on the girl, depends on the environment. But I'm telling you right now, argue with me. Let's fucking argue. That's fine. And like I said, it's fucked up. But that was like the bias that I saw a shit ton in the clubs. And I just remember like if a group of like black men would come into the club, and it's like one of the high-end clubs like in Vegas or like in like Austin or whatever, like you could just feel the energy of the girls. Like you could feel them like looking at them like, do I even want to try? And it's so fucked up, but like that was literally like how it felt. But again, you can be pleasantly surprised. You never fucking know. I've had some amazing rooms with all different races. Like I remember one time I had this Latino guy. I was paying more attention to the white guy, because the Latino guy was like really in my fucking face. I was like, bro, like who are you? Like what? Why are like you're so in my face? The white guy was more like nonchalant, and he seemed like he had more money for real, because the way that he was acting. And the Latino guy was just like, what's up, girl? Like, I'm like, God damn, dude. Like, are you gonna take me to a room? Long story short, the Latino guy was fucking balling. Like, he was daddy. He didn't give a fuck what he paid. He didn't care. He was doing coke, like, talking my ear off. Like, maybe that's why he was all in my face, because he was on so much coke. But I was like, oh my fucking God. He gave me like $5,000 like within an hour, like fucking nothing. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my God. But thank God I matched his energy. I was like, okay, then take me, pappy. Like, let's go to the room then. Put your money where your mouth is, you know, like just matching his energy. And he loved that shit. So I was like, let's fucking do this. Anyway, but no, those are like the biggest biases I see. Now, in regards to like girls getting clicked up, like are girls clicked up in the clubs? Absolutely. And again, depends on the club, depends on the environment, depends on where you live, depends on what club you work at. But let's talk about the Latinas here. Come on, guys. We all know the girls that be coming from out of the country, or like girls that are like, maybe they're related. They all are like, click the fuck up. And you know what? I'm not even about to argue with y'all. Y'all can say whatever you want, but I know for sure that's a fucking fact. But I do have one of my really good friends that I did work with in the club. She's from the capital of Mexico. What is it called? Oh my God. Mexico City. What the fuck? I'm an idiot. I love her so much. She was my favorite. And I even talk about this in one of my like blogs, because I met her in 2022. I met like all my really good stripper friends in 2022, because that was probably the most like I thrived and the most like open and welcoming I was in the strip club, because before that I was really to myself. But she was my fucking favorite. We had met like one night and we got a room together, and she's just such a vibe, such a great time. Like, she wasn't clicked up with nobody. I don't even think she was friends with the Latina girls, but she was fucking crazy. And she was so much fun. But me personally, the Latinas would be clicked up, but I loved them. Like, I thought they were great. But I would hear it from customers all the time. They're like, ooh, so the Latinas don't like you guys? I'm like, what do you mean they don't like us? They would talk about how, like, oh, you better not get a dance from a white girl. You better not get a dance from, like, any of these Russians, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, they would be talking hella shit. But I'm like, okay, like, what? But no, they'd be clicked up for sure, for sure, for sure. And if you don't see that, then you're blind, for real. But yeah, they'd definitely be clicked up. Now, another thing that I saw a lot in like New York, now this is still common in other clubs, but like in New York, there's a lot of Russians as well. Like, they'd be clicked up. One of the clubs that I worked at in New York, it's like all the managers were Russian, and like all the female managers, and like all the strippers were Russian, and it's like they were all best friends. I was like, fuck, you know what? Where do I fit in? You know, I'm German. Where's the German strippers at? but yeah, definitely like a lot of cliques. And the girls, like, besides, like I mentioned, like black men coming in, black girls going for the black men, you won't see like Russian guys coming in and Russian girls going for the Russian men. Or I never really saw like obvious Russian men, like, and only Russian girls going up to them. It was like a mix. Or like Latino guys will come in, Latinas will avoid them like the fucking plague. Well, it depends, right? Like, there's so many different types of races. Like, if they're Cuban and a bunch of Mexicans come in, I highly doubt the Cubans will go up to the Mexicans. But if it's like a bunch of Cubano daddies, like some cuties, you know, the Cuban girls are definitely going to go up to them, I'd assume, because they look good. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Or like, but I'm telling you right now, like, strippers don't discriminate against anyone with money. They don't give a fuck. You start throwing some money, you start putting your money where your mouth is, all you gotta do is throw some money. Then all the girls are gonna come up to you. Don't worry about biases. Don't worry about prejudice. Don't worry about judgment. They just want the money. You go and you show them a couple dollars, they'll sit with you all night. They could be racist and they'll still fuck with you because they want the money, right? Strippers do not discriminate against the money, and that's all you got to do, baby. Just show them a couple dollars, pull out a little blue strip, and they'll kick it with you for sure. Oh my God! And I know I have a blog in here about this one night. One of the clubs that I had worked at, this guy, he was sitting in the corner basically, like kind of by himself, and like he looked a little lost, and I think I went up to him and I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, you know, and he was younger, like he was a younger like Spanish guy, but he looked like good, like he was good looking. I don't like going up to good looking people because it's like I just like going up to like regular average individuals, older men, because I know I'm not going to be attracted or anything like that. But you know, I've talked to like a fair share of like cuties. Anyways, so I went up to this guy and I'm like, "Are you okay?" Like, blah, blah. But he basically like only spoke Spanish. And we had talked for a little bit and I was trying to get out of the conversation because I was like, I'm trying to go get some money. I was just making sure he was good because he looked lost. And then he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, you know, gracias." You know, and he gave me a hundo. And I'm like, "Oh shit, wait, hold on." Like, I was like, "Wait, where are you from?" Like, blah, blah, blah. And I think he was from Mexico. He ended up saying, and this goes into an even deeper story. He ended up saying he was like the son of like one of the biggest like drug cartel members in the cartel in Mexico or whatever. And I'm like, you know, I'm over here sitting with him. He ordered like a whole bottle of Dom Perignon. Like, he had no problem spending money on the fucking liquor. He maybe tipped me like a couple $100. I'm thinking I'm gonna get a bag, right? Like, you over here hand me $100 for me asking you if you're okay. Where's the money? You know, he buys a bottle of Dom Perignon, tells me he's like the son of like a drug lord, as if I give a fuck. And then he doesn't even take me to a room. I was pissed. I'm like, this is why I don't fuck with the young bucks, because all they want to do is look good with the bottle and not go spend their money, right? Like, I've only had a couple of people that are young. Most of the time, they're either like sports or like a known influencer or like a rapper or something where they actually like will spend some money. And even then, not always. Like, sometimes they don't be spending shit. It really just depends. So you really don't know. And I did my very fucking best to not be biased, because I remember one time too, a lot of this is in 2022 because these are like the most memorable ones recently. But there was these guys that had walked in, and they, like I said, like kind of looked like average Joe. Like, I think like 3 white guys, like in some like cargo shorts, some regular tees. One of them was smoking a cigarette, like, and this one girl, she works in the club with me, super bougie, like damn near stuck up, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like almost like entitled. And we all have our entitlements, like, I get it. But she, like, and I mean, we can all think it, right? But she, like, speaks it. She doesn't give a fuck. She's like, "Oh my God, ew, he's smoking? Ew, fucking nasty." I'm like, bro, we all see you smoking. Like, the fuck, bro, chill. So I'm like, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna go talk to him." And she was like, "No, like, they're not gonna spend no money." And I'm like, and then next thing you know, I'm just like walking over there. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna go over there and start. And you know who I started talking to? The one that was smoking. I was like, I don't give a fuck. So I go and I start talking to the one that was smoking. Turns out we end up going to the most expensive room in the club, or upstairs to one of like the most expensive like floor. And they end up spending money for like 2 hours. I'm like, and guess what? After I sat down, she came and sat down with me, and she started talking to his friend, and we both went up. So it's like one of those things, right, where you can't like judge a book by its cover. Just go and have a fucking conversation. Like, what's the worst that could happen? They say no, right? You go, you feel it out, you get to know them a little bit, you show some grace. And then if for whatever reason they're not ready, it's too soon, maybe you're not their type, they're not drunk enough yet, they haven't done their little line of coke, whatever it is, give it time. Come back around. Maybe sit down if they offer you a drink or like a Sprite or whatever. You can sit down and continue to talk, especially if it's slow. Like, what else do you have to do? Would you rather sit up there at the bar and like go and talk shit about people coming in and judge them and put all your like biases and prejudice on them? Or would you rather go have a conversation, maybe get to know somebody, show them your personality, make yourself memorable, and then come back around later if for whatever reason they're not ready? These guys, on the other hand, were ready. And that's one of the great things about not judging a book by its cover and just trying anyway. So I've gone up to all races, all like tall, short, young, old, fat, skinny, doesn't matter, rich, poor. I've had a good amount of poor guys spend money on me. Like, it really just depends. It depends on you. It depends on the timing. It depends on the guy. It depends on the club. It depends on the environment. If you make people feel welcome and they can tell that you're not being prejudiced or you're not being judgmental, yeah, we all want $1. Like, that's obvious. We all came here to make some money. But you don't have to shove it down their throat and make them feel as if, you know, they need to hurry up and pay up, or if they're not going to blow a bag, you know, they can kick rocks. Because that's not how you get a good reputation in the club. That's not how you get good with management. Because if people leave upset, people are going to start to notice, right? Like, if you make people feel like they're not welcome, or you get upset if they don't start spending a lot of money on you right away. So the best thing that I would say is, like I've said a million times, it's a numbers game. If you go up to every person you can, like, especially if you're having like a night where you're kind of off or you're just trying to get into the groove, go introduce yourself, have conversations, doesn't matter with who it's with, and you'll start to be able to read people a lot better. You'll start to notice like the things to say, the way to act, the individual that they are, if they're fucking full of shit or if they actually are probably going to spend some money. And it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter what they're even wearing, because anyone can spend money. And that's why they're all in there, right? They came for us. They didn't just come for the wings and the beer, maybe sometimes. But we're not Hooters. The fuck am I talking about? So we like to tell ourselves, especially when we're having a bad day or week, that it's just this slow this time of the year. Oh, this is one thing we can talk about. Seasonality. People always talk about seasonality. Like, oh my God, you have to come here in January. There's all these conventions. Like, you're going to make the most money. Oh my God, March Madness, you have to be here. Oh my God, the Super Bowl is going to be in this town this year. You have to be here. Ew, don't go here during the winter. It's so bad. It's so slow. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I don't even believe in seasonality. I believe in you, like the individual, me. I believe in me and my abilities. Seasonality, I've had times where like, oh my God, like this convention is coming into town, like in Vegas, CES, January. Everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to make so much money that weekend. We're going to make fucking $10,000 in a weekend. Bro, that means every bitch and their fucking mother is going to be in town that day. They're going to be working at the club. Yeah, there's going to be some bags secured. But you know how often a guy comes in and actually spends like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000? It's very fucking rare. And I've had probably way better nights on like random butt fuck days than I have. My best ever night was on a Sunday. I've had great nights on a Wednesday. I've had great nights every night. It's not always Friday, Saturday. It's not always during a convention or seasonality. Now, there's things that play a part, right? Like, I think in the winter in New York, like, guys get their bonuses for the year, like their Christmas bonuses or like their work bonuses. So it's like the right time to go. But that doesn't mean that they're all going to spend it at the strip club. That doesn't mean that they're all there to spend. And I would say at the end of the day, like, as long as you bet on yourself, seasonality will not even matter. And if it is slow for whatever reason, if you're having a bad week, just show up more, just work longer, whatever the case may be, you got to adapt. But I've never, ever, ever, besides the pandemic, had a time where seasonality played a part. And I've had times where, like, I'll show up, like, oh, it's March Madness, like, come to the club. These fucking NBA players aren't even in that bitch. Like, where are they at? They're at the clubs. They're partying. They're buying bottles. They're fucking girls for free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, regular girls. So it's like, they're not really in the strip club like that. Yeah, sometimes, sure. But most of the time, like, those girls are chosen from management, or maybe they already know the guy. Like, I've worked at a club where this one girl, she would talk about, like, all her clients. Like, oh, like, this guy's my client. This guy's my client. I kick it with this guy. Like, this rapper, this NFL player, this NBA player, this executive. And some of these girls, I mean, who knows if she's fucking full of shit. But some of these, like, people already have these connections. They already have these numbers in their phones, so they're going to get chosen no matter what. I remember one of the clubs that I worked at in New York, this girl, bad bitch. I only saw her that one night. And I was like, damn, she's bad. Like, she has the perfect body. Her face is done up. Like, she's perfect. Next thing you know, French Montana walks right in the door, runs right up to him, gives him a big old hug. I'm like, damn, this bitch already had this planned. So it really, like I said, it depends on you. That's why it's up to you to create your own business, like make your own connections, build your own relationships, and do things the right way, right? And like have your own hustle, because at the end of the day, like once you develop that, you'll be able to apply it to all the different things and all the different individuals in the club. And not only that, but if you bring in business, like big business to the club, you're way more valuable to them than just someone that's going to get fired, that could get fired or let go the next day. And I'm not going to say that that's like going to keep you there forever, because I've seen girls get fired even if they have all the connections in the world or maybe the most high paid girl, but it'll definitely help and you'll have a better chance of coming back. So hope that you guys got some value out of this. This one was a lot of fun. Definitely be sure to comment. I know I probably pissed some people off with some of these, but you know, hopefully you guys can tell that it really just depends on you. It depends on the person, but that's just kind of how the strip club is, right? So you never know what to expect. Anyways, as always, I'll see you guys on the next podcast, and secure the bag.